Hello, watch enthusiasts. Now, I've been considering another watch for my collection for a while now, and it had to be a dive watch because my collection is rather lacking in dive watches at the moment. I started off my search actually rather taking an interest in the Squire 30 Atmos with the GMT function because it's still 300 meters water resistant, and yet it has that GMT, so that intrigued me. Um, but living in the UK, it's difficult to get hold of one because of the import taxes that have to be paid to get them into the country. So, though I like the look of this watch and I like the fact that it was well made and had the ceramic bezel and so on, I shied away from buying one because from Nomon watches, for example, um, they're they're not based anywhere near the UK, so I'd have to pay some rather extortionate fees at customs. So, having discounted the Squale, I decided that it would probably be a good idea in terms of resale value, at least, to go for a larger brand like Omega, which was my original pick. I did consider Tudor. I considered a day date actually, one of their Oyster prints day dates because they're such good value, frankly. But then I did realise that, frankly, for the outdoors activities that I'm going to be doing, a 14 karat gold watch is probably not the best idea. However, when I eventually did choose Omega as the brand I was going to go after, the Omega, the Seamaster 200 Professional, was the first I thought of because I know these are very, very well priced, and I make no secret of the fact that I'm not made of money. I haven't unlimited funds, so it's always nice to find a good deal. And I was particularly searching for the 1441 caliber version of the Seamaster 200 because those were thermocompensated quartzes which were accurate to I think 3 seconds a year, which is really quite an incredible feat in 1988. However, I had trouble finding a 1441 because these are the rarest of the Seamaster 200s because they were manufactured for less than a year before they were replaced with the 1438 caliber. Um, but I did spot a very nice automatic one for about £1,300, which I would have loved to own, but it wasn't in the UK, and considering it had to be shipped from Japan, I believe the fees I would have to pay would be extortionate, along with extremely expensive postage. Also, it's very difficult to know what you're getting if you're buying a watch from such a long distance, especially when the photos aren't very clear. So I was really put off by that, which was a shame because these are beautiful watches. Now I suspect my choice was made rather more difficult because I was very picky about the handset I wanted. Um, I've always loved the plongeur style hands, and I think the particular incarnation of those hands on the Seamaster 200 is a really nice type because they aren't as bold as the oranges that were seen on 70s models, but still feature that old-fashioned looks, which the Mercedes hands could never match. Now, after having this difficulty finding a Seamaster 200 that was appropriate for my buying, in terms of my location and so on, because they are rare models, and I understand that they are sought after, so it was difficult trying to find one. However, a Seamaster 300 seemed like an easier proposition in terms of finding a nice model in the UK. And I was originally interested in buying a quartz version. But a few things sort of put me off the quartz. Now, bearing in mind that the watch that I was aiming to buy was going to be a sort of a good for all sort of watch and a replacement for my other divers, and it was going to be the single diver in my collection for the next year or so, I suspect. I wanted something automatic. I mean, the 1441 caliber in the Seamaster 200 is a superb movement. The thermocompensation makes it the second most accurate ever made by Omega, which is a technological feat which I really do respect. The shame is, though, that through the 90s and the early 2000s, the quartz movement really did sort of recede into the sort of budget alternative of the automatic Seamaster. Now, this is unfortunate because the Seamaster Automatic was a wonderful watch. Still is a fantastic watch in its latest ceramic incarnation. But I think the quartzes simply didn't live up to the automatics, and they really did lack something because they weren't particularly high quality quartzes for the money in terms of comparing it to other watches of the same price. Now, I did also consider the automatic version of the wristwatch, so it would be a pre-coaxial one because the coaxial ones are in a different price bracket, and I'm not going to pretend that I have all the money in the world, and at the moment I'm unable to pay for the price of a coaxial one, so I was aiming for one of the ETA-based previous ones. However, with these, I did find that the particular model that I was after, which was the 90s version, which I sort of prefer the arrangements. I've looked at the later ones with red on the dial, and I particularly like the ones with the all-white text from the 90s and the slightly shorter hands. But again, it was very difficult to find one in a good state, which was a shame. But of course, it's understandable. These watches are 20 or so years old, and I'd rather have an unfinished case, or a used case, than a refinished case and changed dial, because that really does cripple the resale value of these watches. Now, I would like to stress that I have been searching for this watch for several months now, actually, and I suppose I've spent a lot of time looking at the classified market, and the used market, and I suppose I did get disheartened that I just simply couldn't find a watch in good nick. But I have searched. I really have searched. So this search endured until last night, when feeling a bit disheartened that I couldn't find a Seamaster, I chose to buy another watch, which I found being sold at a very good price. Now, the watch in question is, in fact, the Oris Aquis. And I think some of you may be surprised that I've just bought one, because I've never really talked much about the Aquis. And it's probably because until recently I've always sort of seen the Diver 65 in the Oris range as being the nicest looking watch they make. But I really couldn't have been more wrong, frankly. Now, while the Diver 65 is a beautiful watch, and it really is, I couldn't rate it more highly, the Aquis just ticked all the boxes for me, it really did. So these are easily serviced, because they have Sellita movements, and equally it has the ceramic bezel and all the modern technology that I look for in a dive watch, which I'm going to be using for outdoors and activities like sort of sailing, for example, and swimming in the sea. Now, the features that particularly grabbed me about the Aquis were the fact that it's a large watch, but it has a very short lug-to-lug length because of those integrated lugs, which I'll talk about more in the full review when I receive the watch. So it'll wear quite well on my wrist. Having tried one on previously, I know this. Equally, the movement is easily serviced, as I've said, and also it has a very minimalistic design, which I really love. I'd never had a really good look at one of these before, and I've changed my mind. I really have, because of this sort of Bauhaus style of design that they have, a very simple and minimalistic look, really lends to a timeless diver. Now, alongside this Bauhaus style design, there are some really interesting touches, like the crown guards, which are screwed in to give a more rugged look, and also that bezel is ceramic, yet it's been brushed to give a sort of a metallic look, which I think really is very attractive. But anyway, this was just a video to cover what I've just bought, and I shall be able to review it soon. I suspect it'll arrive by the end of this week. So thank you very much for watching. Do please like, share and subscribe, albeit this isn't really a particularly interesting video for people who don't already follow the channel. But thank you very much for watching. This is Arm on the Watch Guy, over and out.